Welcome back to WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. I don't say it often enough at the beginning of these segments, but make sure you're setting a spot on your car dial for us. In my own car, I'm number 6, right behind. I do them in order: 98 Rock, the Bay. Just put us on. I was down at the Bay 10 on opening day on Friday, giving them some. I saw everybody from the Bay except Brillhart. He owes me something, and his son shot the Heartache Tonight video with the Eagles the other night. So if you see any of the Bay guys, yell at them, tell them I said hello. I'm wearing my Pappas shirt on the webcam. We're going to be up at Pappas in Harford County, the new Bel Air location on Thursday, giving away these instant lottery scratch-offs. We had so much fun last week with our friends at Window Nation, 86690 Nation. We started at Costas. We had an unbelievable kickoff for the 50th anniversary of the Maryland Lottery. My dear friend Gigi Papadopoulos, Causey joined us. My friend Anthony Adams. Everybody on the show was Greek except me at Costas on Wednesday. So you know it was a good show. The food was good. We're going to be up at Pappas eating crab cakes on Thursday. Dennis Koulatsos joined us. Speaking of friends who were Greek, who were at the opening day and enjoying things around here this week. And when's Greek Easter? Did I miss that one?
We're 1 week behind this year, Nestor. Sunday was our Palm Sunday, and so we're 1 week behind.
When I lived with Johnny Raffalidis, I always got Pastizio and I got moussaka and I got all these great things. Now I have to stay connected with all this. You went out into the sunlight on Friday for Oriole baseball over the weekend, but I don't know where you were on Easter night and the Masters. I was with my wife watching John Rahm or whatever, and the WNST text service goes off, brought to you by Coons Baltimore Ford Security Boulevard. And I thought, Lamar's dealt to the Colts, right? Every time it happens, and I know you're on the text service, so what do you think when it happens? You don't think it's Odell Beckham Jr., do you?
No, never saw that one coming, Nestor. I don't think any one of us saw that coming. He was going to the Jets to meet with them. The Ravens had an offer on the table. Didn't think it would be a great offer, right? Because he was still shopping his services, but lo and behold, he stops the trip because the Jets said, look, we're not going to match. And so he was wasting his time. Big announcement, right? And the timing of it, I thought was interesting.
Well, what do you make of all this? Come on now. Don't make me wait for Thursday for your show at 3 o'clock.
All about Lamar Jackson. That's what it seems to me. They're trying to entice to sweeten the pot for Lamar Jackson. They signed Nelson Aguilar. Now you're bringing in OBJ. They're hoping for a healthy Rashad Bateman. You've got Todd Monken with his new offense that's going to open it up and put the best player, arguably the best space player in NFL history, take him out of the phone booth that Greg Roman had put him in. And now there's a glimmer of hope that Lamar will come and show up. I don't think this means, Nestor, that they extend him. I don't think this means that we won't be in the same situation next year, because I think this is just a move to appease Lamar, just to see what they have with a new offensive coordinator, with some better receivers. I think they're still drafted a wide receiver high, perhaps the first or third round or the second round if they happen to trade back. But I think this is all about Lamar Jackson. That's what I think.
Well, but what does it mean in regard to was he really walking through the building the last 2 years saying, I want to throw more, 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 I want to throw more? Is that really what he wanted to do?
Maybe, because I think there's some frustration on his part. Hollywood Brown wanted out because of the run-first offense. Hayden Hurst wanted out because he was invisible to Lamar Jackson when Mark Andrews was on the field. So there was some concern with the offense. Wide receivers saying they don't want to come here, not because of Lamar, but because of the scheme. So, I think there was some hesitation on his part in regards to the direction that the offense was going into. So sure.
I don't think John Harbaugh recruited Todd Monken saying, oh, he once coached OBJ. We might get OBJ at a discount or something. There's no discount here. They were the highest bidder. Nobody else wanted him anywhere near that price, or they would have paid him. After the draft, nobody would have wanted him because they all love their own Nelson Aguilar, their own Devin Duvernay, their own James Prochet, right? So all of this is – here's my thoughts, Dennis, and I'm starting to write my column this again. This is everything I wrote before I had Luke on Monday morning. Unraven-like. This is desperation born out of frustration and some failure with drafting wide receivers. He's almost 31. He's working on his 4th franchise. This is a distraction from the meal. The meal is Lamar Jackson long-term, or is Lamar Jackson going to come and play for $32 million a summer after smart guys like you and me and Leonard Raskin told him not play for $20?
Well, we'll have to see because again, we'll have to see what he looks like in a pro style offense like he did in Louisville. They may catch lightning in the bottle. The one thing I like about the signing of Odell Beckham Jr., Nestor, is he knows the offense. He's that veteran you bring in. He'll be able to line up the young wide receivers. He's also an alpha. He's got the swagger. He's got the strut. He's got the Super Bowl ring. He does have a resume that commands attention, although I think he's caught only about 800 yards the last 3 years. But he is a name, and I'm sure they're going to sell a lot of OBJ jerseys in Baltimore for sure.
Okay, but what does that mean? I mean, how does this get Lamar back? I mean, that's that. I talk about
Well,
intelligent what does this do
look,
internally
they,
to motivate Lamar Jackson to come back and play for an insulting contract and offer sheet that
he is a unique cat. He's one of one. He listens to himself and himself only. He trusts himself and his mother only, and that's not being disrespectful. I'm just spitting out facts here, or so it seems. Um, but it looks like it's a lure. It's a lure, like a fishing lure to the bass to get him to bite. You know, I fish a lot, and we saw them on Instagram having a love fest, the Lamar and OBJ. So there's a glimmer of hope for the Ravens fan base that Lamar will show up motivated, in shape. And what about the knee? We've heard zero about the rehab. How's that knee doing?
well, I saw him with the gym 2 weeks ago. He was out there doing stuff with that home gym, right?
The entire gym? Okay.
The entire gym, right? The
The
whole gym.
yeah, not the partial gym, but the entire gym. Let's not
Not the
the
whole
partial
gym.
look, the partial gym will cost you $3.99, but the entire gym will cost you $6.99, right? What a deal. What a deal. But yeah, let's see where this thing goes, Nestor. They've overpaid. We all agree upon that, and it's a high risk, is it high reward? I mean,
Is it
OBJ
high
does
risk?
bring
Are they going to win without Odell Beckham this year? Can they win a Super Bowl as
well,
constructed?
if Rashard Bateman is healthy and if they can draft a wide receiver that can step up, but they have enough defense, special teams, and offense, they can get it done. I mean, it does help them potentially,
Is he
but who
their
knows?
Shannon Sharp? Is he the difference maker that they
Man,
can
well,
sign and win a
Shannon
Super?
Sharp was a workout warrior. He was healthy and he was always available, right? We always talk about the best ability as availability, and Shannon Sharp was available. He was a dog. Uh, now OBJ's had he's coming off of two ACLs. He's 31. We'll see how much juice he has in the tank, but it does energize. I think it energized the entire Baltimore fan base. It energized the NFL because the Lamar Jackson is still the biggest story out there, bigger than the Masters still.
Dennis Koulatsos is here. He will be here again on Thursday and again on Sunday morning as part of the Sunday Sports Voice. If you hear him around here on Friday and Saturday, it's just he and I and Luke rapping as part of his show. But he is first time on Thursday between 3 and 5. Hope you check him out. And obviously, spring has sprung and they got 0% on some deals. And so get on out to Coons Baltimore Ford. We talk about it all the time. But I want to stay on point here and on leadership. And I always check the little C-level box with the Dennis Koulatsos conversations for our business conversation, because you run a business a long time. You view these things differently, as do I. Steve Bisciotti, I woke up at 5 in the morning on Monday, and Josina Anderson, who is wired to OBJ says, Steve was on the phone with me.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time Steve didn't get on the phone to get Steve Smith? Steve didn't get on the phone to get Trevor Price. Like, Steve getting on the what does that mean at this point? Because he likes to stay behind the scenes and say, I'm not the active owner in the recruitment. What does Steve Bisciotti say on the phone to Odell Beckham Jr.?
Yeah, according to Justina, he's been talking to OBJ he's been recruiting him for the last 2 years, which I found very interesting, particularly since you correctly have pointed out that Steve Bisciotti hasn't been available to the media for how many years now? He hasn't spoken, but I thought it was fascinating that Steve Bisciotti has been involved in the process, not just in stroking the check, right? I mean, the final say is his, but in the active recruitment of Odell Beckham Jr. I thought it was great because I thought Steve was uninvolved. I thought he was sitting on his boat, drinking whatever and enjoying a cigar. But it looks like he's very involved in the day-to-day affairs of the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, and certainly one that infers that now, doesn't it? And it would also
Yes.
infer that if you're important enough, you get a phone call from the owner and you get recruited by the owner. It's a weird kind of different precedent. And I'm not saying, listen, in the world of these NBA mindsets that we're going to have a dream team and we're going to be on Instagram an hour after you get $15 million and now I'm going to get you your money, dog. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I don't know. If Lamar had an agent, this wouldn't move Lamar. If Lamar was getting good advice, they'd say they're doing what they should have been doing all along. Now pay me. Now
I,
pay
I,
me.
I don't disagree with you, but again, he operates at a different level. And the other thing about Steve Bisciotti is back when Ray Lewis was with the team, it was not an unusual sight to see Ray and Steve courtside at a Terps game, right? So Steve has always had some connection with some players, not all players, at levels that I you know I didn't particularly like, because of favoritism and the ability to not remain objective when it comes to negotiating a contract.
Well, and part of that is also the recruitment. I mean, Brady Anderson was loyal to Peter Angelos 30 years later and to the kids 30 years later after sitting at Boccaccio and negotiating his first multi-million dollar deal in 1995 because Peter was involved, right? And listen, I own a company, Mr. Coons owns your place, and you would say, Mr. Coons, it's your place, right? And I feel the same way. They can operate it any way they want. I'm asking for the same thing I asked for from the beginning.
Right.
Accountability, integrity, honesty, front facing whenever possible. If you're trying to shield an injury to beat Pittsburgh this weekend, I accept that to some degree as a reporter, to some degree. I think now that you're fixing games and wagering on them, and when I say fixing, you're the referees. It's your game. It's your dice game, NFL. So if you're going to be putting out bad information to gamblers and you have the referees that decide whether the field goal is good or not, or whether the penalty sticks or not, or whether it's a foul at the end of the game or whatever it is, there's a lot of elements of all of this that I would say they need to be really careful about accountability and integrity. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe they can just lie and lie and lie. But they did have their communications guy get up. So, Dennis, I'll put this to you, and I'm not even being a smartass. And I said to Leonard Raskin a while ago, I said, here's where I begin to urinate into the conversation a little bit. So let's just say that Lamar can't go anywhere. Because he can't. Nobody else wants him, right? We're kind of at that point. Nobody else wants him right now. He has this offer sheet he has to sign that he hasn't signed.
Mm-hmm.
When he will, when he won't, OTAs. The coach wants him to get in and meet the new offensive coordinator. And if I were Lamar's agent, I'd say, you don't meet Todd Monken until we have $232 million of guaranteed money, or whatever the number that you want is. If it's 3 years and 160 for now, guaranteed, like whatever that gets you a lot of money and as much flexibility as you can have to sign another contract, wherever that Darrell Revis scale is, right? Or wherever OBJ just pulled off, which was a heist, right? I mean, like he got more than anybody was willing to give him. But I'll just say this, the notion that their PR guy just threw everybody up against it last week in front of the world. Now Lamar's going to come into the next press conference and John Harbaugh, and they're going to be, whenever they fix it. What questions are the reporters not allowed to ask when that happens? What's the next round of questions that are off the record?
Look, I think you'll find them more willing to answer questions when things are going well, when things aren't going well. So I think
that tells me a lot about your integrity now, doesn't it? You've just spelled out everyone I would never trust in the world. Right? Like literally.
Well,
you're just pointing out of it. But my dad would have told me, avoid those people. That when the weather's good, they're going to be honest with you.
That's right.
But when things are bad and you need them the most, they're going to lie to you and disappear and say no questions.
That's like, I like to measure adversity everywhere, because then you see what you have, right? You can see the best captains appear when there's storms out there, when the seas are calm and the weather's nice and everybody's a great captain, right? The tide is high. That tide gets low and there's rocks all over the place and there's wind and boats are capsizing. That's when you see what you really have, Nestor. So I think adversity can be good at times to assess what you're dealing with, whether you're an owner, a fan, an employee, or what have you.
Did you see the look on Harbaugh's face? Did you see his lip go like this at the and DaCosta looked like he was going to cry?
How about the eye shift? How about the eye shift of Harbaugh to the left, or to the right rather, just like like what happened? But yeah, you can't censor the media, and there shouldn't be any questions off the table. Not in a transparent organization. You can ask whatever you want.
Now we can ask about things because like I mean,
yeah, now you can ask. But and I don't know why Jusina would put out there that Steve Bisciotti has been in constant communication with OBJ the last 2 years. I don't know why.
She would put that out because OBJ gave that to her, and she's allegedly a reporter.
Okay.
Even though she works for one of the networks.
All right, but again, she put
that out there. She's trying to break news. She's breaking news for us.
Okay, so she's not covering up information that's useful to us fans. And look, I don't
think she's in contact with Bisciotti. I think she's in contact with OBJ.
No, I think
OBJ said to her, Bishotti's been on the phone with me trying to get me to do this.
Yeah, see, and I thought the sale was DaCosta maybe, and Munkin trying to sell Bishotti on OBJ, understanding that he would have final say in signing the contract that he wanted. Didn't realize that Steve was that involved with recruiting, which, again, I find fascinating that he would be involved to that level. I'm not
Dennis,
saying it's wrong, but he's involved.
if there's anything else that you have on your purple mind right now, get it in, because I'm about to move in a direction that you and I don't move in a lot over 20 years, because I'm about to move toward baseball here, because we did spend some time with it. I want to talk about Springsteen and the Eagles and the arena and all that. But like, as far as the Ravens, it is amazing that they moved to the back page after that Chad Steele disgrace on Wednesday, that by Thursday it's raining and 80 degrees and they're not playing. Then Friday, everybody's downtown and everybody went and shook their ass. Either it was Earth, Wind, and Fire had a crowd, Springsteen had a crowd. My wife and I went to the Eagles. Then there was the Masters and Easter and all of this stuff and then the OBJ. All of a sudden it's like, oh, the Orioles are like number 5, quickly all of a sudden, right? And they lost a couple of games.
No, you make excellent points there, Nestor. You're right you are, because we went to the ball game and we sat close to Cal Ripken, so I got a lot of texts and phone calls during the game, like, you guys are all over the TV, and I'm like, that's great, that's wonderful. And what a great opener it was, 7-6 victory by the Orioles, and dropped the homestand to the Yankees. But it's nice to get back downtown. It's nice to get out to the ballpark, particularly on a decent day.
Would have been better on Thursday, right? We can all say that.
Hey, Ness, please tell me all these young players I'm falling in love with, like Rutschman and the rest of them. Please tell me that the Orioles are going to extend them when it comes time to give them a big contract.
Well, we're a week into this. They have to prove themselves, Dennis. Come on.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah. Once they prove themselves, let's say they become the real deal. Are they going to become New York Yankees?
You're incredible, dude. They're 3 days into the season, and you want them re-upping these guys
because
already.
For the first time in years, I know the names of the starting lineup. I know the names of the pitchers.
Well, you've seen John Angelos the last 2 weeks, and you're really afraid of them screwing it up.
I'm invested. Yes, I'm trying to be less. I'm trying to guard my investment, I guess.
You're trying to be invested, and you want to know that there's somebody captaining the ship that is responsible.
Yeah, I don't want to see another Manny Machado situation where Manny goes off to the West Coast and continues to do great things in somebody else's uniform. We like our homegrown heroes. That's why we love Cal Ripken so much.
There's a lot of alphas out there that would say Mr. Bishotti just upped the ante. He's getting involved now in signing players. We want John Angelos more involved. And I'm thinking, I was here when they signed Sid Fernandez and Chris Sabo because he told the old man. So, like, there's a point of all of this where I am concerned, and I'm in the middle of writing a column this, and I'm about to re-release the Peter Principles beginning next week as well, just to show everybody where we've been and why when press conferences happen, you need me. I don't want to go Jack Nicholson. You need me on the wall. You need somebody in there. We've lost franchises around here. We've been lied to. And then last week we had the guy stand up and deball the coach and the general manager in the middle of it. That was the strangest part. It's like, who's the captain around here? Is Chad Steele running the team? And the Orioles had an owner step out and run all around radio, make a fool of himself, quite frankly, in an amateur hour kind of way, really. I mean, beating up the son while he's on the radio, jumping on the fan 5 minutes after they went on over. I mean, things that are not strategized. John's just running by the seat of his pants. That's not going to work out well, and I could see why you're concerned. Yeah. I mean, they canceled opening day on an 82-degree. That wasn't even a good decision.
It turned out not to be. The rain held off, but it was good to see him back there on the field. He was interacting with the governor. The governor, our Jack governor, couldn't get the ball to the plate on which was another story.
Travis Kelce out in Cleveland. You saw that, didn't you?
Yeah, Kelce, that was a mess too. But it's look, it was a lot of fun being out at Camden Yards and just taking it in. And the crowd was very much electric, at least on opening day. They were all into it, and it was a lot of fun.
I agree 100%. I said the same thing with Luke. And I know you and Luke did a long segment. He and I did a pretty long segment this week about pace of play. The game's changed.
Loved it.
When you went out there, you recognized the game more as when your family came from Greece and you were a kid and you were sitting out there and Jim Palmer's pitching and they're pitching. They're throwing the ball. They're hitting the ball. They're running the bases.
Was pitching. That's correct.
You stay with the game. People stay with the game. Young people can learn the game. I find on TV, they don't have as much to say between pitches because that's a strike. That's a ball. He's got it back. They're not stepping off the mound and grabbing the rosin and getting out of there's not.
Yeah, it was.
The game is much more the focus in the way that football after the the tackle's made. They get back in the huddle. You're thinking it's 3rd and 8. What's happening? What's the sub package? What's the play? They're up at the line of scrimmage. There's the replay. Okay, he was inbound. They're hiking the ball again. And you stay with it. And man, baseball had lost that, Dennis. And to have it back for a couple of days and watch it again, my wife and I were watching the game on Sunday, and it was like we were staying with it because it was moving.
No, it wasn't moving. I was flipping between that and the Masters, and unfortunately the Orioles dropped one. But yeah, it's a different game, and I love all the improvements that they made. There's not a rule change that they made that I dislike. None of it. Even
the guy on second base in the 10th inning, you don't like that. Nobody likes.
I like that actually. I like the guy on second because I don't want to be there for 20 innings. I like the guy on second base. Enough is enough. I mean, and we watch a lot of college softball, right? Lady softball, and they have a run rule, right? You get if you're up by 8 by the end of the 5th inning, the game is over. You're run ruled, right? So I don't want to see that. I don't want to see them tap out after the 7th inning. So I think the next best thing is in order to keep the games reasonable, is to put a man on second base. I like the strategy.
11th or 12th inning for me, not 10th inning. Let him play a little bit. Let him pitch a little bit.
You like that's because you're old school. You like spending the entire day at the ballpark. I can't do that.
I remember when Brooks Jacoby hit a home run in the 17th inning with Don Leifert at an afternoon game that we went at that lingered. We got home at 10 o'clock at night.
Right, and your last name is
82, 83.
And your last name was Aparicio, so you can't help it. You grew up with it, you love it, and you don't.
Well, the worst part is I sat there 18 innings and they lost. Right? I mean,
that's even worse. Double overtime football game, you go home a loser. You don't want to do that. If you win, it makes the game more tolerable, right? More palatable. But it is what it is. But I love the new improvements. And by the way, your Papa's shirt, we had dinner at Papa's the other day. Give them a plug. They had black grouper with crab meat on it, and also for an appetizer they have octopus. Grilled octopus was with the Greek salad. Was amazing. One of the best meals I ever had. Just so you know.
Well, you're giving me ideas here for Thursday. I'm going to go with the traditional crab cake. It's Thursday. We're going to be kicking off our Hartford County tour on Thursday at Pappas, the new location up there. So come on out, say hello. We have some great guests coming from Bel Air. It is good to get back out on the road here. We were at Costas to start the tour last week on Wednesday. We were at Fadley's on Friday. We've been having some big winners. We're having fun. We're going to get back down to Fadley's. We are at Captain Larry's downtown in Federal Hill on the 27th. That's Thursday the 27th. So getting back into the city as well. So moving the Maryland Crab Cake Tour around, brought to you by the Maryland Lottery in conjunction with our friends at Window Nation. And our good friend Dennis Koulatsos is over at Coons Baltimore Ford. Give me a little primer on April cars, sales, trade-ins. Just where's the car industry right now?
You know what? It's always changing, Nestor, and I'm glad you asked. Trade-ins all of a sudden are starting to be worth more again because there's a scarcity of nice used cars. So used car values are trending back up again. So if you have a used car, this is a great time to get a top dollar.
Does mileage matter? 20, 30, 40, 50? What's a number?
No.
What's a cutoff? You got 55,000 miles on a nice,
there is
well-run
no
car.
Yeah, 10, 15 years ago, if a car had more than 50,000 miles, it was a problem. More than 100,000 miles, it was a problem. And nowadays, cars are built much better, Nestor. So there really is no cutoff. I mean, we trade and retail nice 150, 200,000 mile vehicles because you can get another 100 and a half out of them. Sure. And they
50,000 on a car is not a lot.
No, not. I mean, right now your average oil change is between 5,000 and 7,500 miles, sometimes 10,000 miles, because the motors are that much better. So you don't have to invest as much money to maintain your vehicle. But it's not like the old days. The cars today are built much better than they were, again, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Being honest, it's a real fair car question. So everybody, Kelley Blue Book. Yeah. So if you go up and you check Kelley Blue Book and it says my car's worth 16 grand, whatever it is,
Right.
Where does that level out when I come in? Because the consumer that comes to your showroom, they're there. They're thinking you're a car dealer. You might rip them off. They're figuring things out, doing all the research and whatever, and you're there. What is the level of expectation of a customer bringing a car in that has 50,000 miles?
Yeah, we give people Kelley Blue Book values all the time. I mean, and a consumer can also go on the site and plug in their information and assess their own vehicle. It's just like looking at Zillow when it comes to purchasing a home. It's an average of the homes given the average condition, etc. Now, if the vehicle is above average, so they get above average money. If it's below average, got a big dent on the fender, bald tires, etc., you have to account for that as well. But we're right around Kelley Blue Book fair value, and when the customers bring us in offers all the time, and we match them and we put them in newer vehicles, or we buy the vehicle outright from them.
Dennis Koulatsos, easy to find, lots of experience. We're dealing with experience here this week, man. So the experience of OBJ, and I want to just bring this full circle, and you'll have a lot more to say on Thursday and through the weekend on Sunday morning. Thumbs up because it's made the football team better, but this is a really curious, un-Raven-like maneuver in my mind. I'm shocked by it, but I also think Harbaugh and DeCosta have jobs for life. It's Steve's money. He's not going to keep the team forever.
That's
He
what I
wants
said.
to win. And if Lamar doesn't want to come and throw the ball to OBJ, then that's on Lamar. But I don't know that this is going to move them to give him more money. I still think they have the same fight they had last week. I really do.
Well, it does take the spotlight off of that situation and puts it on OBJ. The other big takeaway from this OBJ contract, Nestor, is the contract will count $4 million against the cap this year, but next year, if he's not on the team, it will be an $11 million cap hit because the cost is used in voidable years. So unless they extend OBJ beyond this season, they have $11 million worth of dead cap money they have to address next season, which is significant.
And if he plays well, he's going to want $15 million more next year, right?
Okay. Again, look, it's 1 year at a time, but that's what really concerning me, just the structure of the contract and its impact a year from now.
It feels to me like they felt like they couldn't win a Super Bowl without a guy like him. No, so they're making an acknowledgement that they need a serious wide receiver and that they need to throw the football.
Look, with all due respect to all the receivers they've drafted in the past, their history shows that they can't really draft and or develop a wide receiver one. So if you can't draft one, then you buy one, right? You buy a guy that's done it before at a very high level. The age, the injury history, the contract, they're all red flags, but this move indicates that they think they could win a Super Bowl, Nestor, but particularly if they can get Lamar Jackson on the field with them. So it's an all-in type of a move. And look, I like aggressiveness. Do I like stupid aggressiveness? No, but who am I to say? It's not.
Well, you say it's a lot of money, but the real thing is it'd be a cap hit next year for them. That's really what the story is, right?
And it's not. It's also not my money. That's what I tell people. You guys, everybody's acting. Oh, it's not your money. If Steve Bisciotti wants to write a $15 million, $14 million guaranteed check, that's his business. Who am I to tell him no, not to do it?
Well, that's at the above the fold. They're trying to win.
They're trying. Look, I applaud them for that. Look, I'd rather than be aggressive and make stupid mistakes and sit there and be passive and let the league pass them by. It's a high risk, high reward type of a move. It really is. Especially if the guy pans out. If he stays healthy, he's had 2 ACLs. Now ACLs are ACLs. They're not hamstring pulls. They're not thigh injuries. They're not back injuries. I mean, if you tear your ACL, there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
Well, we hope they can put him back together. He's not the $6 million man. He's the $15 million man. Dennis Koulatsos can be found out at Coons Baltimore Ford. He'll be here on Thursday from 3 until 5. Back again on Sunday and heard in and around all things WNST and Baltimore Positive. I will be up in Harford County at Pappas on Thursday. Come on out, say hello. Luke's at the ballpark all week. I am banned from the ballpark and banned from Owings Mills. They fear me, Dennis. I'm in their head. I'm Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking CFG, Beak, Arena, and the Eagles as well. We'll be doing more of that later on.